had no clue what you're doing. Okay.
I'm just getting the tone of the room and then like...
So you can edit that as a bass line? Or
Exactly.
Something like that? Okay. That
edit
makes
out the
sense.
sound of the backgrounds. Alright, so still Untitled Podcast, episode 4? I don't know, who cares? This time around, we've got old friend of the podcast, Ty Curry. How's it going, Ty?
I mean, I'm younger than you. I don't really know. I'm the old friend of the podcast.
No, I mean, like, you've been a friend for a while.
I guess that's true.
To the podcast, which has been going for a while now.
Yeah, it's
quite a while.
Legendary
podcast
of...
accolades.
Yeah.
Upon accolades.
It's a story. It's an institution, honestly, in the podcasting space.
Yes. Well, we're not here to talk about us. We're here to talk about why do you think... What is your relationship with music, Ty? What do you know about music?
I know Weezer.
That's good enough.
Yeah, that's basically it. I'm a white dude, so
yeah,
I just care about Weezer.
Fair.
This podcast is about Weezer, right?
No, actually, the Weezer cast is a different ensemble.
Oh, I thought it was going. Okay.
No. I
think I'm in the wrong
room.
Yeah, I think I'm in the wrong place.
Yeah, that's like 2 doors down with like 50 more white people in it.
Yeah. It should have been an alarm whenever I saw that you weren't white. I should have.
Well, from a distance, it's like, oh, that looks like somebody I'm comfortable with. But then when you get close, like, oh, he's a little
brown.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to.
He's very Portuguese looking.
If this was a podcast for this year, we'd already be talking about the new Weezer album. That was surprising, really good.
And also, we still have Van Weezer. So if I come back and do this next year, we're gonna have the top 2. Or we've already discovered the top 2 for next year.
You can't if you have 2 artists with 2 albums on this. I don't know how that would happen with like.
Well, it will happen next year. We already know it.
I'm not even
Weezer 1 and 2.
I'm not looking forward to Van Weezer, but I'm still gonna listen to that thing.
So the one song that we've heard from it.
It was okay.
It was fun.
It was alright.
It was fun.
I think it's just the Van Halen name is just something that I'm like, do we really need to revisit old rock? Oh man, it's so professional to silence this thing.
It's like a tribute kind of thing, you know. It's not like
I mean, I only listened to it the one time, so I didn't listen.
Well, it's only one song too. Yeah. I mean, I think they postponed it because they were wanting to release it for that tour that were going on with the Fall Out Boy and Green Day.
That makes sense.
Which I will be attending if
it ever comes back.
Yeah, if it ever. Well, it is coming back, but if it's not like a danger to my health to attend. What they're describing as the Hella Mega Tour. So,
or if one of them somehow passes, a lot of artists have been just kind of disappearing as of recent. Wonder where they're going. MF Doom. That's the only one I thought of.
I mean, Van Halen.
Did they? Did they pass through?
Didn't Eddie Van Halen? Am I wrong?
Huh?
Didn't Eddie Van Halen pass like this last year?
They might have. I don't know. They didn't keep up.
Am I wildly mistaken?
You might be. Regardless, is
that bad?
No, we should probably get actually down to like
talking about
the music.
Someone who's probably still alive now that I think about it.
Yeah, we're here. I'm here with my music friend to talk about were the top 10 albums of last year. In a timely manner, of course. We're talking about 2020's records on February 24th of the next year.
No, this is December 31st, 2020.
Oh, right.
That's why we're talking about a Weezer album that is unreleased as of now. But this is definitely December 31st.
Yes, December 31st.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. So, we'll just start things off. Do you want to go with the first one, number 10? And in no particular order, of course. Like, there's no way if I had to organize this thing by actual counted like number 10 to number 1.
You didn't do that?
No, I had a hard enough time.
I feel like a.
Did you actually organize yours?
Yeah.
Wow.
I feel like a tryhard here. This is
no.
But yeah, I just was like, it was pretty easy for me to just like, all right, put 2 of them up against each other and decide which one do I like more out of those 2. And I just kind of eventually I did that and arrived at this. But so my number 10 is Jeff Rosenstock. His album, No Dream, in all caps. I want to scream it, but I feel like that'd be rude. That's how I feel like it should be pronounced. But it's like it's a really good album. It's, I mean, familiar to Jeff Rosenstock's general output of his music. It's not too far out of his wheelhouse, but it just kind of fit, the general, basically the kind of the vibe of 2020, the very, the apathy and the malaise, and where you're just like, oh my god, I hate everything, basically. And it just it really encapsulates that, and you always get all the fun, production stuff you're going to get on any Jeff Rosenstock album, and it just all comes together to make like a really fun album that like feels really timely. And just a sucker for Jeff Rosenstock in general. So I was always predisposed to liking this one.
I never heard of Jeff Rosenstock. He's similar to like did you ever listen to that Walter Martin song "Quarantine Boogie"?
Yes. No, he's very much different than that. Jeff Rosenstock is he's a.
Is it more serious?
He's like yes, definitely. But he's like a post-punk type a little bit. He's very. There's a lot of screaming on the album.
Very different.
Have you ever listened to Bomb the Music Industry? That was his previous project, I think. Probably. But
you're a fan.
Sounds like it. I just am doubting myself now. But yeah, he's just a really good album. Like it's not like his best album he's ever made, but he's just a very good songwriter and producer. I think that's a big thing of it. Like he everything just sounds great. He's really ambitious. Like some of the Bomb the Music Industry albums that came out in the 2000s don't sound like anything else that came out around that time. Like they just were just very different than what everyone else was doing at the time, and he kind of continues that up to now, just in a very different way. Now that he's not just older, just a little, it's just different. It's just aged a little differently. But he's very good. I really like him a lot. He does a lot of things different. Basically, it's just why I like him. He doesn't sound like every other post-punk type of singer-songwriter.
I'll have to listen to that, because honestly, I've been trying to get back into punk, but this year pulled me a lot into the pop influences.
Yeah,
as you'll see in my list.
Me too. Yeah, I mean that's I think it did it for a lot of people, and also just I think the music industry just it's a lot harder for a lot of groups, I guess to release music this year. It was a lot easier for solo artists and people who do a lot of their stuff separate. Obviously, just because it's easier to work alone in a pandemic than it is.
Yeah,
so I think it just seemed like there was more pop and solo acts released this year too.
All right. Well, going off of what you said, I'll try to stay sort of within like a scale. How I'm Feeling Right Now by Charlie XCX.
That was you went right into pop. That is pop. That is very fun.
It was a very pop filled album, but it was very again, very of its time. It was like like right when the pandemic was still kind of new. Like it came out like June or something like that, or April, and the pandemic had kind of hit in February, March.
Yeah.
So this was a lot of the emotions on this thing were very fresh, and it's just like the pandemic at the time didn't really hit me that bad. It was only like a couple months out. Staying inside all day didn't really affect me that bad, especially when I could still kind of walk around my neighborhood.
Yeah.
But around that time the album came out, it was definitely weaning on me. And that album, Charlie XCX has always been like a party girl. So her perspective of the pandemic was really interesting to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Like her thoughts of like missing being part of like a big crowd, like missing all her group of friends. And like this album was in a way kind of like a a sequel, not a sequel, like a sister to her album that she came out last year. I forget the name of it, but like I wasn't a huge fan of that one. How I'm feeling right now though was a lot more. I liked a lot of the production on it a lot more. Like it just felt, it just felt more intimate, but also more driving and a lot more. Charlie XCX in her early debut was a lot more mainstream pop, but recently she's been getting into a lot of like almost noise with her instrumentals. It's very interesting. She's not really like, it's not to the point where like it's hard to listen to, but it's definitely
no. It still feels like pop.
It's very pop. Yeah, it's still very. It's almost hyper pop, but not
that's
that.
Like that's kind of almost where I almost not quite like obviously it's not 100 gex, but I mean
it's getting there.
It's getting there.
It's getting there.
And also, she was featured on that. Wasn't she featured on that? The Friday.
Yeah,
was that her, right? On the Friday Rebecca Black remix.
She also was on the. There was that remix.
Yeah. She was on that. Yeah.
The one about see you on my phone when I'm all alone. Can I get
ringtone?
To you? Yeah, ringtone.
Yeah. That's right. I remember that now. Yeah.
Her and Cara Carbonito.
Yeah. Which is odd, but it works.
It works. So it's like she definitely has like experience delving into like hyper pop.
Yeah, for sure.
But this wasn't that aggressive, but it still had like that edge to it.
I'm so bored. Wake up late, eat some cereal. Try my best to be physical. Lose myself in a TV show. Staring out to oblivion. All my friends are invisible. 24/7 miss them all. I might cry like a waterfall. I feel afraid when I feel alone. Yeah. Have sex me and my Romeo. He says I'm irresistible. I'm gassed up like I'm possible.
And it was also very intimate. Like just hearing her, just like raw emotions and thoughts about missing crowds, missing people. Like the what I mainly saw from the pandemic was people who were like workaholics being stuck inside, and I was like, haha, now you have to slow down a bit. But yeah, like seeing that side of it of like people who thrive off of being around people and couldn't do that anymore. Like,
it's definitely a different perspective,
Mm-hmm.
But I really liked the album. It didn't make my top 10, but I also think that's just a little. I am predisposed against the quarantine type albums, just because I don't know. I don't really like to remind myself that we're in a pandemic. But it was really good, and I liked it a lot.
Unfortunately, considering how many artists came out talking about the pandemic.
Yeah. I mean, you can't completely get away from it. Obviously, I wouldn't expect every artist to just ignore the fact that we're in a pandemic, obviously, but
history-defining moment.
Yeah,
artists should just plug their ears and.
Obviously, I'm not suggesting that. It's just that me personally, like that's just those always get me whenever those happen.
Yeah. But how I'm feeling right now, Charlie XX is probably like I definitely liked it more than the last record. That's stuck in my car for the first quarter of the year, honestly.
Yeah. Pretty sure that album was just called Charlie, just for posterity.
Yeah, that's right. And it was just like her on the cover.
Yeah.
With like metal on her or something.
That sounds right. Okay, and then my number 9 is Car Seat Headrests, Making a Door Less Open, which is not a very catchy album title. Much more of a mouthful than it needs to be. But I just really like Car Seat Headrests in general. This is definitely not as good as Twin Fantasy, but that's such an absurdly high bar to ask someone to clear every time they release an album.
Yeah.
But I just really like Will Toledo and his songwriting and the fact that his songs they're very... I'm trying to find a way to phrase this. Talking about music is a lot harder than you see Fantano and other guys talk about it.
Easy.
Yeah, but it's
trying to describe sounds.
Yeah, I can't even try to do that, but it's just more, I guess, the vibes of it, I just really like, how it's like a mixture of a lot of different types of, I guess, music. It's got like a lot of electronic type, sense notes in there, mixed with like acoustic guitars, mixed with just a lot of production, and it's like very, very well produced. I mean, that's to be expected with anything that Will Toledo's in, and he just has a lot of really fun tricks to it. The songs are just good. I mean, it's just one of those where I just think it's a really good album where most of the songs on there I listen to and I'm like, yeah, it was a really good song. It's just nothing like super crazy about it. It was just a good group of good songs.
Yeah. I think we said earlier about the whole tricks thing. Like, Garcia Edwards has always been pretty good about, like, making her songs sound simple enough, but, like, they still play with your ears a bit,
Yeah.
They still like to, like, subvert expectations somewhat.
Yeah. Especially, I think that was most obvious to me listening to the original Twin Fantasy versus the re-release of it later. Which, I liked the original, but the revamped version, it was just fantastic.
It's
It
just
was so much better. Yeah,
like, no, it was already great, but it's just like, I'm surprised how great it is.
Yeah, whenever I first like, I was really dismissive. I was like, oh, why did he remake it? It was already good.
Yeah, exactly.
And then I listened to it, and I was like, why did he make it that way in the first place?
Yeah.
This is horrible. It's like it retroactively tainted how I liked the first one. But yeah, he very clearly knows what he's doing. And big fan of Will Toledo.
Yeah, Garcia Edwards. That was like one of the first things that got me into post-punk, from like Teens of Denial, and then the one we were just talking
Twin
about.
Fantasy.
Twin Fantasy. Those were really great, but like I don't know. I always liked Garcia Edwards, but I kind of like, for some reason, that kind of flew under my radar for a lot of the time. I remember you mentioning it to me too as well, but it slipped me, unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, there's always time to go back, and
There's always something. Maybe it'll make this year's list. I mean, next year's list.
Yeah.
This is December 31st.
This is December 31st.
Yes. Well, I'll jump into mine. Got a lot to go through here, so I might as well move forward. Going for, let's see, I'll just go down the list. I'll go with My Agenda by Dorian Electra, sticking with the hyperpop theme.
Yeah.
Dorian Electra, first album she came out with, first album they came out with, I was thinking about like her and her music video for one of her songs and like, whatever. She's very I'm just going to add some like title, because I want to respect their pronouns.
Yes, and that's also going to be something I have to deal with someone on my list.
And it's not like it's a very minor thing. Their pronouns play a big part in their identity with their music. So it's like, it's very important to me to get it right here. So, yeah, they came out with Flamboyant in 2019. And I listened to it in 2020 for the most part, but that I liked a lot, but it always kind of fell just short of being like one of my favorites, one of the greats necessarily. Mm-hmm. But there was a lot of great bangers on, I think, that I listened to for a while. And then My Agenda came out. They released some teaser tracks from here on out that I was following anticipating for quite a while. And I was kind of worried the whole time that it would just fall short, just like Flamboyant did. Mm-hmm. But they totally hit every mark with every single one of those songs. The difference between Flamboyant and My Agenda, though, is Flamboyant felt like a sparkling diamond. It was so well produced and clean, but it was really like intense and hyper poppy. It felt like a diamond with a lot of machinery attached to it.
Yeah.
Like My Agenda instead feels like somebody took like a Minecraft dirt block and then like put like cigarettes and like Mountain Dew Gamer Fuel on it. It's so grimy and intense and rough, but like purposefully so. It's very fun. It's also like insanely tongue-in-cheek. Like the whole album, they take on this persona of being like an incel, fedora tipping gamer person. Like what was it? In one of the tracks, Edgelord specifically with Rebecca Black on it, like the first line of the first verse is "We live in a society."
Yes. Yeah.
So it's like the whole album is just that whole energy of very memey, but not like not like they're not throwing you memes at you. Just it straddles the line between self-referential and tongue in cheek and just full on
Minecraft parody, like meme music, like a comedy song.
It's very close to meme music, but it's very, very good.
It's still I really like this album. Just throw mine in there too. I really liked it as well. It's you went through most of it, and I liked your description. That wouldn't work for any other album. Your description of a Minecraft block with Mountain 2. Yeah, that would not work for any other album. You probably could have just said that, and I would have known which album you were talking about. But that was very apt.
It's a disgusting album to listen to, but it's very, very good. I also meant to put in some spaces where I say here is some of the track of the album here.
I love you. Sorry, bro, I love you. Sorry, bro, I love you. I can't stop thinking of you. Sorry, bro, I love you. And when we're kicking it, we'll things chill. Cause I can count on you to always keep it real. That's why I'm singing it, cause I want you to know. Bro, no homo.
I'll put those in the earlier tracks.
I'm sure there's a lull somewhere.
Yeah, I'll insert the lulls. But here, I'll sort of formally introducing them. So if music starts just playing all of a sudden in the previous tracks, and you got scared, and we're driving, and you ran into a tree, now you at least know where the next one's gonna be coming up. So, anyways, it's rough on the first listen, I must say. So come at it with open ears and be, if it's not your thing, it's obviously not going to be your thing. It's not for everybody, but at least give it a shot, I would say.
And I feel like you would figure out whether you're going to like it relatively quickly.
Honestly, either it intrigues you, but you don't know why, or you hate it immediately.
Yeah, I feel like for me, it was I figured out really quick whether or not I was going to like that album. So
yeah.
All right, then I'm number 8 now. Mm-hmm. So for my number 8, I have Illuminati Hotties with their album Free IH. This is not the one you've been waiting for, which is another one which is way too long. But
that's a great band name.
Yes,
and that's
fantastic.
That's also a great album name. It reminds me a lot of Daughters. You Won't Get What You Want.
Yeah. So actually, this one, if I remember correctly, this is a album that was released mostly just to fill a contractual obligation to a record label, and so Illuminati Hotties has a album that they had been teasing. That one was not basically the title was referencing. This is not the one you've been waiting for. This is not the album that I had been teasing or whatever.
Yeah.
This is basically made just to fulfill the contractual obligation between the record label.
Yeah.
But so what it came up with was a 26-minute album, very very short album, very short songs, and I think that is something I really like. I really like short songs that have there's no fat on any of these songs. Everything on any of these songs is important. There's no lulls in any of the songs. They're all very poppy, very fun. They're so well produced. I believe the Illuminati Hotties is it's like a solo project, and I believe she was a producer, like a producer who went just decided to make it. And so it's very clear that she was one. These songs are they have a lot of ideas and they execute them really well. But like I said, it's like a 10-track album maybe, where all the songs are very short. And I really like that. I don't like there's no reason to have unnecessarily long songs if you don't have ideas. Which I feel like sometimes you have a song where it's like, okay, that song could have been 45 seconds shorter. It's never going to be anything you think with this album. Everything is there. It's very concise, very quick, and just super fun. And there's a lot of different styles on the songs too. You'll have one that's like almost like there's a skit in there. Where it's like a radio station DJ host, telling you to stay hydrated, stay hot out there, and then you'll cut to a song where they have cheerleader style chanting in it, and then you'll cut to one where she's seemingly having a mental breakdown over producing content and sleeping, and just like the idea of like, you know, dealing with creating while also meeting deadlines. It's called content bedtime. That song is perhaps my favorite on the entire album. It's so fun, and it's just there's just so many moments on the album that will stick with you when you listen to it, even though it's, you know, very short.
Yeah, never makes sense. Anyways, also if you need to take like a second to like think about what you need to say, you know.
You can cut it out. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like I got this word out, Hitler. No one's ever gonna hear that. You can't prove I said that.
Well, I've been recording the entire time.
Have you?
Like the CIA, yeah.
Oh, wow.
My NSA agent.
You're really cool with him. Type with him.
Yeah.
Too bad I'm cutting this all out. This is a great little moment.
It's unfortunate.
But yeah, no, I like back to what you were saying. There's too many artists nowadays that think that just because they have like an interesting concept that like they need to like stretch it out.
Yeah.
There's a joke that like I remember seeing on amongst like the music Instagram meme posts of like, I have a concept for an album. The concept is it sounds like shit. Or something like that.
Yeah.
And it's just like, yeah, no, just because you have an idea doesn't mean that it's good or that it needs to be, you know, overblown. It's some people, the best people can take their concepts and just deliver them concisely and, you know, well done. There's like plenty of records out there that do like 30-minute songs that are still really great, you know?
Yeah.
Like,
just because a song's long doesn't mean it's bad either. It doesn't work that way, you know?
Yeah.
It's still, if you have a good idea, it's good enough, it can last, you know, like a long song.
But there is definitely something to what you said about how some songs just feel like that could have been like a minute shorter.
Yeah, oh, for sure. You know, for sure. And just the title of some of the songs on that album are fantastic. My favorite is the opening track. Probably have all my music down. But it's called Will I Get Cancelled If I Write a Song Called If You Were a Man, You Would Be So Cancelled. Which is such a fantastic song.
Which you just listened to.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Wasn't that great?
Oh, it's
or at least
magic of podcasts.
Yeah. Honestly, I forgot to mention, I got a new intro song that I got approval to use.
Oh.
So my videos won't be demonetized anymore. But this is definitely going to be a demonetized podcast.
Yeah, because all the clips are
exactly.
there, yeah.
Which I don't care, but, you know, oh
yeah.
well. But anyways.
How else are you going to make money from your tens of thousands of listeners that we have for every episode?
I get, you know, I could have been making more money through all the sponsorships, but I decided, you know, it's more about the sound, it's about the experience.
Yeah. We're not sellouts.
No, we're not.
No. Subway, eat fresh.
Alright, we're going to spend the $5 we got from that later to get a Subway, actually, so...
Oh, no, I don't think they're $5 footlongs anymore. I think they're like $8 or something like that now, unfortunately.
There's also...
Jared ruined everything for us.
Damn it, Jared. Couldn't control his hunger. He should have satiated his hunger at Subway.
I'm glad he didn't satiate the hunger that he had for little kids.
So. Yeah, I was trying to like dance around it. You just full head on.
Yeah, well, let's just be glad he didn't satiate that hunger.
Oh my god. Alright. Anyway, what was
I don't even remember where we're at.
What?
I don't remember where we're at.
Yeah.
I just went. Okay, so it's your turn.
Yeah, I was
number 8.
Good thing I have a list.
Yeah, good thing you have it numbered too.
I have a number, but it's completely all over the place. Number 8. We're going to It Is What It Is by Thundercat. Thundercat. Everybody knows Thundercat. If you don't know Thundercat, you need to know about Thundercat. Probably the best bass player. One of the best bass players in the business right now. He's done his own solo projects for quite a while now. He's done music videos and songs in the past. When did it come out? He did Drunk in 2017. And while it was an album I was really looking forward to, it was kind of like an underwhelming listen to just because it like we were talking about earlier, padding out something just for the sake of padding it out.
Mm-hmm.
It kind of felt like what this album did. It was like almost an hour long of tracks, and it felt like it could have easily been 30 minutes and it would have been fine. But so many songs diluted the sound, and it kind of like underwhelmed.
Yeah.
So when he started teasing a new track, a new album, I was like, I came in with tempered expectations. I was like, it'll be a Thundercat album. I probably won't like all the songs on it, or it'll probably be too many songs. But at least it'll be new Thundercat stuff. And Thundercat, even if not everything is great, he's still a great artist. So he's going to drop some great tracks or bangers of some sort. But it is what it is. Came down to about 37 minutes instead of being like 53 minutes last time.
Yeah.
So he definitely learned his lesson, and he applied it well. Every single track on here doesn't really feel... There are some that are less great than others, but it definitely feels a lot more well thought out and concise. I listened to this album a lot more than I listened to Drunk when Drunk came out, and that's saying something. Like Miguel's Happy Dance, Houseway, Black Qualls, Dragon Ball Durag, Fair Chance. Everybody knows Dragon Ball Durag. Even if you don't know it, you've heard it through like the TikTok meme songs that have been around.
Probably, yeah.
Like TikTok is blowing up this year almost, and he's gotten a lot of recognition at least, and it's nice because this is probably his best album yet. It's a lot more consistent. He also has like a lot of talent on this thing. Like, and the previous one he already did, but like it's still impressive seeing like some of the people he brings in. Like I'm pretty sure he brings in like Bad Not Good, who are some of my probably favorite jazz bands out there right now.
Zach
Fox.
That's actually how I listened to some of this album. Was I saw the Steve Lacy feature, and
Black Qualls.
Big fan of Steve Lacy, especially his whenever he worked with Vampire Weekend for their last album.
Did they?
He's on Sunflower.
Oh, really?
And
probably my favorite track, honestly, on that thing.
Yeah. He's really good. He's from this band, The Internet, I believe it's the name.
Okay. I know. Yeah. The Internet is funny because I've listened to The Internet, but I don't know the original band members. Mm-hmm. But they all individually seem to get a lot of work.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if they're even still together, but yeah. I mean, Steve Lacy is very, very great guitar player and a good artist. Beyond just his playing, and so that's actually what made me listen to that album, and I was like, this is fun, and so I listened to the rest of it, and it was just a really, really fun album. I don't have a ton to say about it because I'm not like it's not really the type of music where I super knowledgeable in, and as a straight white dude, I'm not really sure, how well I can comment on all of that either. But
on the Dragon Ball Durag song,
but it was just fun. I liked it. It was pretty good.
It was a really fun album. Thundercat has like a very fun sense of humor with a lot of his songs.
Yeah, this definitely shows.
Yeah. Like on one of his tracks with Zach Fox. Zach Fox was the one who did that one song. Jesus is the One. Open brackets, close brackets. I Got Depression.
Yes.
So he features on one of his tracks in this thing. But yeah.
Funny thing.
That's probably the song I'll sample here.
Wow, that was great.
Wasn't it great?
Yeah.
The magic of music. How are we listening to these songs?
Through our ears.
Yeah. Oh, well, I didn't think about that. You're probably right.
That's generally how that works. I mean, I guess maybe some people are listening to this far in the future on implanted brain chips.
Yeah. Thanks, Elon Musk, for my Elon chip.
Okay, never mind. I don't like that idea anymore.
You didn't even know about that?
Huh?
He was putting brain chips in chimpanzees to test that idea out.
Despise Elon. I'm sorry. You're gonna have a bunch of weird nerds coming at you on Twitter now.
Hey, at least now, like, the podcast just got a whole lot more listeners because you got a bunch of angry people listening to this podcast.
They're all going to listen just to tell me about how Elon's going to save the world with his overpriced cars.
And ideas that go nowhere.
Yeah. But he put the kids back in the cave so he can put his little submarine.
To keep him away from that pedophile.
Yeah. What a psycho that man is. Sorry, this went off the rails real quick.
No, that's fine.
I don't like him.
He's a really neat dude.
Sure.
We'll say it at that.
Yeah.
I don't want to follow his Twitter, even though I know it's probably really funny. Just like, kind of the same way you would follow Donald Trump on Twitter, you know?
Oh, God, that was great. My enjoyment of Twitter plummeted whenever they banned him. God, it was hilarious. The man would just say anything.
He was so upset when he got banned, too.
He was so upset 99% of the time. The man is a billionaire. And the president, and just found a way to be mad about every single thing.
Before we get too off topic, like, everybody loves making fun about Covfefe and, like, all those other things. But nobody talks about the time that, like, there was, like, an emergency summit meeting, and he was just tweeting the whole thing out, which was very much not supposed to, like, you're not supposed to document those things.
And that was just, I think there's just so many little things, like, that he did. He was just, like, if he didn't actually have power to actually do bad things, honestly, he's not that different than, Drill. I mean, he's just hilarious. Like, he's hilarious. Like, I mean, the man is...
I would vote for Drill.
Oh, me too. In a heartbeat.
Alright, what's your number 7 now? Yeah, I caught you with that hidden...
You caught me lacking.
Yeah, with the next number on the list.
Yeah, I never expected that to come up. So number 7 is Diet Sig with their album Do You Wonder About Me? Diet Sig is an indie pop band, and I really like their last album, who I'm gonna have to look up the name for because even though I really liked it, the name is escaping me just because I'm put on the spot. Swear I'm Good at This is the name of the album. Yeah, their last album, Swear I'm Good at This, was very good. They're just like a stereotypical indie pop. They are very they fulfill all the stereotypes that you would expect. It's there's a female lead singer and a guy with long hair who does the instrumental, is playing all the instruments, and it's just like the reason I like this one a lot more is it's just a lot more personal, while also still being very good. It didn't. A lot of times, personal albums can veer off too much to where you kind of just don't. They're not as accessible anymore. And this one straddles that line really well of it being personal and experiential based off of the songwriter, but still being relatable. And it's specific enough for you to get an insight into the songwriter, but still vague enough to where it's not just telling a story about what happened to them, and it's
vague enough for you to attach yourself to.
To attach yourself to it, and it's to experience similar things. You can't. If you get too specific, then you can't really. You're like, well, I wasn't dating a man named Andrew who left me, so I can't. That's not it's a little too specific,
At least not yet.
Yeah, there's always time. But then on top of that, it's just very, very good vocals. And just enough, it's indie pop, So there's no one's reinventing the wheel with, instrumentals or anything there, but very well played instruments. Produced well, not overproduced like a lot of indie pop tends to be. And it's just, I really like the songwriting mostly, and it's the core appeal. And another one where songs are generally pretty short, hit to the point, and just, very catchy songwriting. It's just it's just the quintessential indie pop record to me. Just one of those where it's everything I want in indie pop is right here on this album.
Just wanna protect you. Want you to wake up next to me. Sorry when I dream, I scream. Had night terrors every day this week.
Yeah, you see what I mean now.
Yeah. See, now you're all on the same page.
Yeah. No, everyone understands me now.
Yeah.
And also, just the band name Diet Sig gets me every time. I don't know why.
Your band names are a lot cooler than my band names. I just have people's names. Thundercat. Well, Thundercat's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool name. I mean,
Charlie XCX, Dorian Electra.
Dorian Electra's cool.
Dorian Electra's pretty good, honestly, because it's
That's
just
a cool
like
name.
like Dorian Gray, the man in the picture, as well as like Electra being like a modern electronic twist of
See,
it.
whenever I think Electra, I think the comic book character.
Yeah, that too. See, it's multi-layered. That's how smart they are.
Yeah. Multifaceted.
Society doesn't appreciate this Dorian Electra enough, which is why they wrote about society.
Yeah, and how we live in one.
All right, enough with these indie losers. We need to hit mainstream appeal now. All right, we're talking about our number. It says number 4 on here, so it's throwing me off. Put our number 7. That's what I'm saying. Like I just took I made listen 13, and I just.
Why'd you number them then?
It was originally gonna reorganize it.
Oh, but you never did that.
Yeah, because
Okay.
I scrambled when we were coming together for this.
Not that we're unprofessional here.
No. This is all deliberately unprofessional.
Yes,
That's how professional we are.
Yeah, it's to make it seem like it's more conversational. Like you're having a conversation with your friend.
We're not some big wig sitting up in our high horse
In our podcast studio.
Yeah, drinking
Sponsored by
MeUndies.
Yeah. I don't even know what that is. I'm glad I don't.
It's just the underwear company that everybody gets sponsored by if you have a podcast.
I guess how long till we get some MeUndie money?
Probably another week, honestly.
Okay.
They're pretty quick about
They're
it.
pretty quick about it?
Either that or we're going to get an AFK Arena sponsorship because they go after everybody.
That's true.
But, anyways, back to appealing to the main crowd. Hey, mainstream, how's it hanging? Let's talk about Gorillaz. Song Machine Season 1, Strange Times by the Gorillaz. Really good.
Yeah, I mean, it's Gorillaz. And the guest stars on it are fantastic. I mean, it's Damon Albarn just making music with people he likes, honestly, is what it seems like. It just seems like he's he's like, hey, I'm a fan of you. Do you want to do a song together? And it works.
That's literally exactly what he does.
Yeah.
He's just like, hey, you sound cool. Let me do a song with you.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I think it was Fantana who said this or whatever. Or maybe I'm paraphrasing in a way from what Fantana said. But Gorillaz are all about how they utilize their features, which is why humans didn't really do well because their features were kind of just there. They didn't really take that great advantage of them. They didn't really take advantage of them, and they also didn't capitalize on their specific sound of Gorillaz. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Humans was a very an album that kind of fell flat. I haven't listened to it now, so I don't know if that pulled it back or not. But Song Machine Season 1 pulled it back in spades. It's hard to find a bad track on here. There's certainly tracks that don't shine as strong as other ones.
Yeah.
But I feel like all the features on here are utilized pretty well.
Yeah, he lets people do what they're good at.
Mm-hmm.
You're not putting anyone. Damon Albarn, as a producer, knows what these people are good at, and he knows what he wants them for. He lets people. He lets the features shine while not making it their song.
Exactly.
He still is there too. They're still Gorillaz songs. They still feel like Gorillaz. Yeah.
He takes them and puts them into his sound without sacrificing the sound of the Gorillaz.
Yes.
While also still elevating what makes that person sound unique.
Yes.
The only song I would say doesn't do that for me necessarily, and this is just me, is MLS, which has JPEG Mafia on it. JPEG Mafia is probably my favorite rapper of all time. Okay, right now.
Yeah.
But I really like him. JPEG Mafia does a fine job on it. That song just felt a little too bubblegummy poppy for me. And I don't know, while I do encourage artists to explore and try different things, especially like this, it doesn't sound bad. I like JPEG Mafia for his ferocity, and his drive, and I didn't really get that here. But other than that, Strange Times, Pac-Man, Chalk Tablet, Dead Butterflies, Opium, which we'll listen to here because that's what I'm picking. that, like, they're all great tracks. Like, it's, I think everybody humans kind of left the Gorillaz fans a little split. Some people genuinely liked it. Some people liked it because they were just fans of the Gorillaz. A lot of people didn't really like it. But this one, everybody across the board seems to be a big fan of.
Yeah, because there is something kind of for everyone here too. I think that's like part of having a album with as many features as this has. If you want Elton John, you can get some Elton John. Yeah, if you want Six Flags, you can have him on the exact same song, which is any song that can put Elton John and Six Flags, which I'm assuming that's how you pronounce his name. I've never heard it pronounced.
You're technically supposed to pronounce it Black.
Are you?
It's supposed to be like a lowercase.
Yeah, I figured that, but I wasn't sure how you pronounce it.
But it's Six Flag. Nobody's calling it. Nobody's saying.
Okay. Well, yeah. Any song where you have both of them together is it's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's fantastic. And Robert Smith. You just have some. There's literally something for everyone. Saint Vincent. I mean, which one's your favorite? What was your favorite feature on
that? Probably Earth Gang and Opium, I think.
Yeah, I guess that's why you picked Opium.
Yeah. I was really a big fan of how he brought in Slow Tie on...
That's the one I was going to say.
Yeah.
The Slow Tie one was really good.
Momentary Bliss.
I really wanted... when I saw the Chalk Tablet Towers featuring St. Vincent, that was the one I thought I was going to be in love with. But it was good, but it just,
It didn't hit you.
Yeah, it didn't hit the same way. Even though I'm one of the biggest St. Vincent fans there is.
I think the weird thing is if you're a big fan of any of the features on this list, you might be too attached to the sound.
That's honestly probably true.
Yeah.
I mean, that makes sense. Even though, I could see, that song doesn't fit. That song's not too far out of St. Vincent's wheelhouse. I just feel like it was more Damon Albarn than... St. Vincent. Which I'm like, if you're going to do a song with St. Vincent, why not just have her just go in and kill it? Because she always does. Yeah. But it's probably because I'm a much bigger fan of St. Vincent than Gorillaz.
Yeah. No, yeah.
So, same here. Probably just a little biased there.
Absolutely. I mean, same here. Like I said, as much as, JPEG Mafia has never been one to put himself into a wheelhouse, this one song just can't quite fit for me. I like it enough. I just don't like it as much as I like all of JPEG Mafia's other stuff.
Yeah.
So, but no, I mean, even then, this album is still if you haven't heard of this album yet, I mean, that's kind of crazy. But go listen to it. But,
Yeah, it feels like we've done a lot of being rude to this album for you having it at number 7, even though we both think it's very good. It's just that, whenever you have features, I don't know, features on songs just divide people so much.
They do, which I guess is why the Gorillaz can be pretty divisive with some of its discography.
Yeah.
But, I mean, like I said, this one did a good job of balancing both the features and their own sound.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure.
I don't know about the story about the Gorillaz. I used to follow it back in the day. I don't know what they're doing anymore.
I have not... I don't think I ever really followed it. I was just like...
It's neat, but I don't care anymore.
Yeah.
I'm too old for that. I mean, I'm not too old. I've got the mentality of the person.
No, you are too
old for this shit.
No, you're too old.
I am too old. I'm going to die next year.
That's what I've been saying for a long time. But every year you continue to live. Alright, so we're at number 6 now?
Yeah, before I die already. Come on.
So, okay, so this is another one where I don't know if you're aware, but Francis Quinlan.
I'm not.
Francis Quinlan is non-binary and uses the pronouns they, them. So this is another one where it's one I was alluding to where I'm gonna have to do that.
We might have to use the text-to-speech to override some stuff.
I'm gonna nail it, maybe.
Oh no, I did. Okay, your reply. I did have that on my playlist actually.
Yeah. We've definitely discussed. Oh, I was mostly just letting you know.
Okay.
That this is another one. Yeah, just we can make our best attempt to do this because I like Francis Quinlan a lot, and try to be nice. So my number 6 is Francis Quinlan's "Likewise," and if you don't know, Francis Quinlan is the lead singer and songwriter of Hopalong. And Hopalong is one of my all-time favorite bands. They have a great sound just in general. And so whenever Frances Quinlan announced she was going to have a solo project, I was obviously very intrigued. Because their songwriting is so great, and their vocals. I mean, the vocals are one of the main draws for any Hopalong album. Frances Quinlan's vocals are just off the charts good. They are one of my favorite singers just across the board. And so I was very excited whenever they announced this album, and it came out, and it lived up to every expectation I had, just because the bass line for any album, basically with Frances Quinlan, writing and singing, is very high, just because they're very good at those things. And so this album, even though the production it's very low key, everything on the album is very low key. It's very drawn back, stripped back, not a ton of stuff going on. But the songwriting really shines whenever you do something like that. The songwriting you have to be really good at that, and you have to be really good at singing. And those are the two things that they're best at. And so the fact that which I've seen, that's the major criticism of this album that I've seen, is that there's just too little going on with the instrumentation, which highlights the other stuff. To me, it just makes it better. It just makes it better. And so I just really like this album a lot, but also once again, I'm a little biased because this is quite possibly my favorite artist. So.
A little more time. There just doesn't seem to be much room for a reply, and it's possible it only belongs where it happened. Fine, according to John, fear softens into doubt. To what do I cling and think is mine? No reply.
And there was a song sample from it.
Yeah.
I'm just holding my hand up whenever I need
Yeah,
to.
he is, and it gets me every time. He looks like he's doing that emoji. You've seen that emoji where it's just like...
Yeah, where the sassy girl's like, I'm
sassy,
serving.
yeah. You look like the sassy girl doing the emoji pose.
I didn't, I never listened to a lot of Frances Qua. Or what was it?
Quinlan?
What the hell? Frances Quinlan. Frances Qua, wow. I'm reading too many things. But yeah, like I said, Your Reply, it was a regular mainstay on my playlist for a while now.
And another, I technically didn't put this album on there, but because it wasn't really released this year, but Hopalong Queen and Slice, which is the precursor to the band Hopalong, where it's just the solo project of Frances Quinlan that they did in high school or freshman year of college. That's the name of the album, is Freshman Year. So, but that was released onto streaming platforms for the first time this year, and so I revisited it, and it's so good. I mean, it's the first album I ever purchased on Bandcamp.
Dang.
And it still holds up, and I would have been cheating for me to count it for the purposes of this list, but it's so good. It's so good.
I don't think my list is I don't care as much as here. I just list whatever I listen to in 2020. Most of these happen to be released in 2020, so it passes.
Okay.
I
don't know. Okay. Well, this one wasn't. Freshman Year was released in 2005, so it's very old. It's not.
Oh, okay, that's a bit much.
Yeah.
No, pretty much on my own. I'm good. Everything was 2020, so
okay.
We're still here.
Okay.
All right, we have entered the snack portion of the podcast. So everybody, go grab a snack. Join us. All right, cool. Snack time's over.
Yeah, if you're still eating, then You better put that down right now.
Stop that.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm gonna put up a gap or if I'm just gonna have it immediately cut between.
I don't know. It's up to you.
That's up to me.
If you even decide to use it, maybe it was horrible. Maybe in like a couple hours whenever you edit this, whenever long it is, you realize that it's not funny at all, and it's only funny to us right now.
If I didn't edit this podcast because it wasn't funny to me, then this podcast wouldn't have gone as far as it did, which has gone pretty far, like we mentioned earlier.
Yeah, tens of thousands of listeners, our own, your own,
accolades.
Obviously accolades,
yes.
but like you do tours.
I do tours.
You tour the podcast
exactly.
now.
I've done live readings.
Of
just random books because I don't have any books out there.
Yeah, no, he does. You also done live readings of your own podcast.
I have done, yeah.
To the script, you just read off old podcasts, and you're just like, wow, remember that, guys? That was great, wasn't it?
Unfortunately, the guests never really want to come back on, so I'm just reading both parts.
Yeah,
but,
this will be my last appearance, just because you were such an awful host.
It's the curse of the podcast. It always ruins all my friendships.
Yeah.
Friendships.
Yeah, well, this was on the rocks anyway, This is like a breakup, It's just like trying to bring you're here just, where you go on a date just to break up with something,
Well, it's always been rocky since prom night.
Yeah.
But
it's an unfortunate night, Even though it all worked out in the end, but I didn't tell you before, and I'm sorry for that.
So glad to include an inside joke into the podcast.
Yeah.
I will not explain.
Yeah, and no one... literally, I think it's only us two that know what that is. Not a single other person on the planet.
Which is the way it will live and die.
Because I don't think I even ever explained that to Caitlin, even though you asked me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. And I was like, no, I'm not telling you. It's too good of a joke to ruin. Even though, looking back on it, it's really not that good of a joke. But at the time, it was hilarious.
There was a lot of jokes that we came up with in the middle of that, like high school. That were terrible, but were hilarious.
It was like a certain game that we used to play. Where the answer is always yes.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about a real game, and I was like, that could mean anything. We played plenty of terrible things, like double action boogaloo.
Yeah, no.
But you're talking about the game.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which is a fun game. I was really good at.
Which I always lose at.
You always lose. It was odd.
Okay, I don't want to play the game right now. I'm going to jump into my number 6? Yeah, number 6.
I think the last one was my number 6. Yeah, so it'd be...
my number 6.
Probably. Maybe we're re-recording the entire part.
We were talking about vocals and how important they were to...
That's true.
Yeah. See, I'm tying it around.
Francis Quinlan. That's right.
This is what we refer to as a good transition in the podcast business. And I'm transitioning from you're talking about vocals into me talking about Sawayama, my number 6 spot, by Rina Sawayama. Rina Sawayama is...
Yeah, it's like, riff, dude.
She's a pop artist, electro pop artist. I listened to her like when she did her like debut LP called Rina back in the day. And with her, that being her debut called Rina, and this one being Sawayama, her full, it's like, haha.
Full circle.
It's a full circle self-titled mess. Anyways, Rina was great, but it was only like 5 songs long. Something like that. It was fairly short. It was just a good introductory into like what she would be doing later on.
Yeah. 24
minutes long. And like, I really was looking forward to whenever she would drop her full album, which like that was in 2017. We hadn't seen hide nor hair of her for the longest time. She dropped some stuff here and there, but like it was like teasers. Like SDFU came out in 2019, and then Comme des Garçons later on teased the actual album, and then 2020 Sawayama, like an amazingly talented singer. And an amazing album that's like electro pop with like some rock influences in there somewhere. Like, people know enough about Charlie XCX. People need to start talking more about Rina Sawayama. Rina Sawayama is amazing. I don't know what song to pick necessarily to show people, but I'm going to pick Dynasty as the intro. There's a lot of better songs that are catchier, like XS, which is a song about XS, and STFU. Bad Friend, which is a really fun like anthem about like identifying as somebody who's like not there enough for each other, for other people, you know. But the song I'm gonna put here, right here, is just this snippet from Dynasty, where her vocal range is ridiculous.
Oh yeah, for sure.
She is. Oh, anyways.
Now is my time to make things right. And if I fail, then I am not
So, yeah, no, every time I hear that little part, I'm pretty sure I've got, like, misty-eyed every time I hear her climb. Yeah. She has such control.
Oh, yeah. Well, fantastic vocals. And also, on that album, like, maybe you're telling me, maybe you'll tell me and you disagree, but I feel like that album is very... a lot of stuff on it is kind of throwbacky. It almost sounds like...
Oh, yeah, no.
Yeah, to me it sounds like a mid 2000s like pop, you know, like Britney. Almost some of it sounds like a Britney, you know, kind of early 2000s pop. You know, kind of seems like thehrowbacky to me. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you get that vibe too, but I definitely do.
That's definitely a real thing, okay. Because there's a guy called Clarence Clarity who produced Rena, their first album, and he has absolutely like a hyper 2000s producer. Like he takes the sound of the 2000s and kind of like makes it more modern and like hyper poppy. It's not super hyper pop, but that's just the word of the day essentially.
Yeah. It's just one of those. I can't point out why I think that. I can't explain to you. It's just I just feel it when I listen to it. Like I'm not good at explaining specifically why, but like I definitely kind of get those.
It definitely is rooted heavily in the 2000s, like Justin Timberlake, Britney Spears, Cheetah Girls type, like...
Based on... I'm not exactly sure how old she is, but what it seems like that'd probably be about the time that she was growing up.
Yeah.
And so it didn't make sense to me.
Mm-hmm. It's definitely a nice throwback with, like, some really modern, edgier twists to it. Like, it's not like, edgy in the same, like, way that Dorian... Electra is.
Oh, no.
It's a lot more approachable for sure. And that's why I say everybody needs to start like listening to Rena Sawayama.
Yeah, I definitely think it's very good and it's very I definitely think it's accessible enough for you to recommend to people. You know, it's while still being off the beaten path. You know, you're not you know, it's not exactly
it's not super well known.
It's not Justin Bieber, obviously.
Exactly.
But it's still
yeah. That's the unfortunate part of it. There's no real... She's not, like, super underground in, like... Well, she kind of is underground, but mostly in the sense of, like, I don't feel like she's got the recognition she deserves us all.
Yeah, I mean, there's quite a few people like that.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, yeah, no, let's make Rena Sawayama a pop star, please.
Yeah. I would be totally fine with that. And, like, the thing, it doesn't seem too far-fetched. Like, it's not like someone else who I'm sure we'll get to at some point, and this is Fiona Apple or something like that. Where, like, it's very good, but it's not accessible.
No, yeah. Yeah. Which is funny enough, because that album, we'll talk about that later.
I'm sure we will.
Yeah, we will. But no, yeah, Rena Sawayama, she's just goddess, and honestly, is, like, a very relatable, very down-to-earth, but still, like, greater than life pop artist. She goes for a lot of angles. It's honestly very impressive. Like she's kind of like next door girl, but also like super pop star.
Yeah,
it's very fun. It's honestly just very fun, and I highly recommend you to listen to it.
I like the persona,
yeah.
that she created. It's just very fun. I'm pretty good. So now my number 5.
Yes.
Right?
I think so.
Someone should be keeping track of this.
Should hire somebody just to hold up.
Hold their hands the whole time.
Yeah.
So number 5 for me is Soccer Mommy with her album Color Theory. I feel really weird saying Soccer Mommy out loud. It's like one of those where I've never really realized it, but I say it out loud and I'm like, that feels uncomfortable for me to say. But Yeah, I really like it's part. She's part of this like more recent trend of like a female like indie rock singer songwriters. This wave that kind of came through with like Snail Mail and Lucy Dacus and all the Boy Genius people. For a while, she's been one of my favorites of that group, and this album, her last album, I really enjoyed. But this one like was another level to me. It just she did all the same stuff that she did on her last album. It was basically like her last album, but just better almost in like every way. Like the only thing maybe it's less, maybe a little less catchy this time around, a little more arty, I guess, kind of less catchy hooks and everything like that. But it's very good. Another one where it's very emotional and like a lot of it's sad. It's a very slow album too, not super fast, but all the songs are very personal. Another thing where they're not too personal, where you can't relate. They're all very just very like you almost can feel the same things just by listening to it. Another one where the vocals are fantastic. She can sing very well. The instrumentals are not very complicated, but also very well done. Everything sounds good. Which this is also a much higher production value than her last one. Her last one was a lot more, rough around the edges. This one's much cleaner album, which I think played really well to her music. Not that the last one didn't, but this one just seemed to fit this album a lot more. Just very good songwriting all around, and I just very much enjoy this album. It's just super good. The songs, Lucy is probably my favorite off of it, and it's just one where you really get to see everything that she has to offer, like good songwriting, good singing, good instrumentation, and song arrangement, and she's everything about that. It's just like one of those albums where everything is on point. There's nothing on it like we're super ambitious, where they're trying something super crazy, but everything just hits exactly where it needs to be, and it's just. There's nothing wrong with the album, basically. It's just super clean and well made. I like it. It's really good.
I remember listening to Soccer Mommy a touch back, like it's actually back like in my older like my first relationship, and so like I always had like attachments to that and meant to go back to it, but like all the music you listen to then you can't separate from it.
Yeah, I get that idea. Yeah.
So Soccer Mommy kind of fell under the wayside of that. I feel bad for it because Soccer Mommy was a really great artist. I just never really followed through with her later stuff. So. Well, seeing her pop up again here on this list.
Quite good. When it first came out, I was certain it was going to be my album of the year, but it came out really early in the year, so there's lots of stuff that came after that.
Well, album of the year for a short time at least.
Yes, it was. For sure.
And speaking of which, time for my album of the year number... No. We're not that far yet. I don't even know what my album of the year is. But regardless, we're going to delve more into this indie women in music by talking about Women in Music Part 3 by Haim.
I knew that you were going with that.
The second, I was trying to phrase that in like a more clever way, but I dropped the ball entirely. Yeah, Women in Music Part 3 by Haim. The three-piece sister trio from California. I didn't know, but makes sense considering her sound.
Yeah, I was about to say, they sound like they're from California.
Yeah. They're like a pop rock outfit, which they are very versatile. Like, I wouldn't have I think I've heard them being described as pop rock by like Fantana or something like that, which is why I call them.
Yeah, I think that fits.
It fits, but it's just like before that I was kind of like having a hard time kind of like pin them down because they have like folksy country in some songs, and then like later on in the album they kind of like play into like almost 80s Michael Jackson-y type drums.
This is probably their most versatile album.
Yeah.
Some of their other ones are just more straightforward pop rock.
I remember hearing their sophomore album was a lot more stripped back.
More straightforward?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But, no, this one was... Yeah, it's a... I'm not in love with all the tracks on here, but, like, it's such a great listen to because it's so versatile. Like you said, like, it's surprising how many genres they cover within, like, the first last. And it transitions between each genre quite well. Like, they start off in their first track, like, doing like an all-encompassing track, which is like all the genres, and then they start off like with their indie sounds, and then transition forward into like more poppy sounds. I would say, at least that's just the way I remember it. But they have like I don't want to say they're cute because that seems demeaning.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But like they're a group I like listening to sing about like relationships with love songs because it's very charming the way they describe stuff.
And I think they just have very good voices for that type of like pop kind of music, like love song kind of music. And also just want to point out that Danielle Haim is quite possibly one of my favorite bass players. She's fantastic. She's really good at it. Like she does not get enough mentioned in like bass player. I think just because people just don't really consider them as a band that but like every time you hear it on their mostly on their older stuff, it doesn't play as much on this album than on some of their older ones, in my opinion. But she's very good and very talented. And that's another thing that like this has always kind of drawn me to them, is like how talented they are. Also, another thing is like another tie to that Vampire Weekend album that I really liked, as Danielle Haim was featured on that. And as a white man, I do like me some Vampire Weekend.
No, but like Haim, like I was going to say, what was the song I was going to point out? Leaning on You. The song that I feel like encompasses the best of like their songwriting capabilities, and I think this like is one of the more bassier like sounding tracks on that whole thing.
From what I remember, yeah.
Yeah. I think she might have played something like an upright bass or something interesting. It's you can kind of feel the bass on that one.
Yeah.
Back on that for quite a while, but there's like a lot of great tracks on that, like The Steps, Gasoline.
Yeah, The Steps specifically is the one that I really, really enjoyed.
Might play The Steps there instead. We'll see whenever I edit this thing together.
But imagine how bad it's going to sound.
Whenever I say Leaning on You, and then
The
Steps.
Just plays The Steps. Would that be really funny though? People would be so confused if they knew what they're talking about.
But they wouldn't. I mean, unless they listened to this album, they wouldn't know.
Yeah, but it's not like that small of an album. I mean, they're pretty big.
Haim? Yeah, no, I mean,
I believe it's Haim. Is it Haim?
I've always said Haim.
I've always said Haim.
Because
who's right?
I don't know.
Vote in the comments, guys.
Alright, guys. Like and subscribe. Make sure you comment. What do you think? It's Haim or Haim? We definitely read the comments. Also,
for Haim and comment for Haim.
Alright, guys. I want you guys to send us a video on Twitter telling us what you think it is. Make sure you hashtag Haim or Haim challenge, and nothing will happen.
Yeah, but imagine if something did happen. That'd be cool.
Imagine.
Just imagine.
Alright.
Just like my song of the year that unfortunately didn't come on an album was whenever all the celebrities sang John Lennon's Imagine, right? That's so great.
God, I forgot about that. That was like week 2 of the pandemic.
Yeah, it was real bad. God. I thought that would be the lowest that we would get in the year. Actually, it was. It was. There was still nothing. There was still nothing worse than that.
No, yeah, that was pretty bad. Thank you, Hollywood celebrities, for giving us a good low.
Yeah,
to go
we
up
could
from.
never get worse than that.
Yeah. But anyways, yeah, 1 Minute Music. Great album.
Yeah. Sorry to go on that weird tangent.
No, you're good. Oh, really quick, before we go to yours, though, I just want to say, I recently found out, maybe it's just because I'm dumb, but in the Thundercat music video for Dragon Ball Durag, at the very end of it, for some reason I thought they were bad, but not good. They're not. It's Haim.
Oh, really? I don't think I've ever actually watched the music video for that.
It's a fun, great music video.
I bet it would be. I just never thought about that.
Yeah. Yeah, check it out. Go respect Haim, whatever. Maybe Thundercat can tell
I
us.
definitely do. It also reminds me of one of their songs. I'm going to have to look it up because it's My Song 5, actually, on what I believe is... Which album was that on? But My Song 5, they have a version of it with... God, I don't know which rapper was it. Let me look it up.
A$AP Ferg?
A$AP Ferg, okay. So they have a version of My Song 5 with A$AP Ferg on it. And My Song 5 was probably my favorite song off of that album. And the version with A$AP Ferg is so bad. He phones it in so hard on that song. It's hilarious. Like how much he does not fit the song. Like it almost seems like he doesn't know he doesn't know who these people are. It doesn't fit the rest of the song. The tone is weird. It's just super bad. What an awful feature.
So,
I have no clue how they arrived at that idea. One of the most confounding features that I have ever heard in my life.
I love that Haim and A$AP.
Yeah, it does not work. Also, is he even famous anymore? Do people listen to A$AP Ferg?
I don't know. Maybe not.
I thought it was like, because wasn't that like a popular like group with the A$AP group where there was a bunch of A$APs?
Yeah, there were. That's right. Honestly, I'm kind of like just surprised that A$AP collabed with Haim before Phoebe Bridgers. Like she's collabed with everything.
Really has.
It's ridiculous, but I respect it. Anyways, what are we up to? 5 now?
Yeah, it was your 5, so this is my 4.
Was it? Hold on.
Yeah, because I did my number 5. I have mine actually listed out. So
okay, so you look at you. Your unprofessionalness is saving us.
wait, my professionalism. You're the unprofessional.
Darn it.
Yeah, I remember that. So my number 4 is Fiona Apple.
Okay,
Fetch the Bolt Cutters.
Where's mine? Whatever. Let's say it's my number 4 too.
Okay,
It's on my list.
Okay, yeah, just
Neat album.
yeah, it's very, very neat. I really don't even know if the world needs 2 men to just talk
two
about
straight
men to talk about Fiona Apple.
And
yeah, I mean it's very good.
it's really good.
It's so
powerful.
Good. Yeah, it's powerful, and it's like I can't even imagine what it would be like if some of the stuff that like kind of lost of me as a straight man, just as a man in general, even some of that stuff. Like I mean, I can't even imagine how much better it could be if it, some of the stuff related to me more, just because it's such a good album as it is. Like,
Yeah.
and I just
Even the topics it talks about, but like the fact that like what it talks about, we can still somewhat relate to it.
yeah.
You know, like it's
not every single song is about
no.
being a woman, and like a lot of it is, but not there's still some stuff about it.
There was actually that was kind of burpy. There was actually one of the songs I really liked a lot. Relay, I believe. Yeah, Relay.
Relay is so good.
Where it talks about, because that's just straight up about like not wanting to like hate other people just for hate, like being in this like circle of like acquaintances that are just like venomous but still casually talking to each other.
Yeah.
And it's just like I really like her rebellious nature in that song so much. And that's something like a lot of people can just probably relate to without necessarily being attached to any specific group. Everybody can I think everybody can relate somewhat to being somewhat of an outcast in that sense,
Yeah. And then there's another part of the album that is just the fact that just the instrumentals on it are just wild. Like some of them are just like there's so much going on in all their songs. Like they're
very raw and kind of almost deliberately like not sampled well. You know what I mean? Like, it sounded like, I remember somebody saying it sounded like they were doing it in, like, some small room. And it's just kind of like, it very much, it feels deliberate in that sense. Like, the drums feel very open.
Yeah, and a lot of them just sound like, you know, the amount of, like, changes that you hear throughout a song, you know, they'll start off one way and then you'll end up with, like, this doesn't even sound like the same song that I was just listening to, like
the ending of the first song where she starts devolving into a crazy laughter while the piano
yes.
goes crazy in the background.
Yes. There's so many moments like that, and yeah, it's just one where, this is one where, you know, someone just has these ideas and they just go with them, and they're such good ideas, and they work. Just in general, I mean, like, this is Fiona Apple, her last album before this, the Idler Wheel, was fantastic. And then she follows it up with this one, which is even better. And it's just, you know, it's impressive to me just to be able to, you know, it took, almost 10 years, basically, but it was worth the wait. And
came out of nowhere, but it technically...
Yeah, she did not do much. She just dropped it. I mean, at a certain point, you're Fiona Apple. Yeah. You know, you don't really need a ton of hype. You know, you're Fiona Apple. Everyone very much respects Fiona Apple. It was even before this, but this just put her into... She's going to win, like, 4 Grammys.
She skyrocketed, but, like, it's definitely, like, this album specifically kind of, like... It seemed like it's really good, but it kind of, like, struck gold somehow because it was the talk of the internet for quite a while for some reason. Like, it's not like this is a very approachable album to see it being talked about by so many, which is really surprising to me.
Well, you know, I think part of it was just kind of the media coverage of it for a little bit too. You know, it did get the first 10 from Pitchfork in years, and this was also right around the beginning of quarantine.
Yeah.
So
nobody had anything better to do.
Yeah, people had that. I think it hit right at the time, and obviously just the fact that it's an incredible album and it's so good by itself would put it there. Like that, it's going to win like 4 Grammys probably. It's so good.
Fair.
Great album.
What song would you say I would insert here?
Personally, Shamika is my favorite album.
Shamika's great.
Such a great song. Yeah.
On the streets on my way to school, grinding my teeth to a rhythm invisible. I use my feet to crush dead leaves like they had fallen from trees just for me, just to be crash cymbals. In class I pass the time, drawing a slash for every time the second hand went by. A group of 5 done 12 times was a minute, but Shamika said I had potential. Shamika said I had potential. Shamika said I had potential. Shamika said I had potential.
It's. I've listened to that whole thing front to back so many times, especially on road trips. It's a great. I showed it to my sister and she loved it. Like it's a unorthodox but still surprisingly approachable album.
Oh yeah. Because at the core of it, it's like a popish kind of album, but the way it arrives at pop is through so many twists and turns that it can hardly really compare to anything else.
That's a good way to put it.
Released in it.
Yeah, I like that. Well, that was number 5.
4 for both of us.
4 for both of us. So should I skip to number 3? Or should you skip to number 3?
Clever way of making me go twice in a row. I just want to point that out. Smart. That's a good idea. Okay, so my number 3, which I just realized this now the way I do it, but it feels bad. But my number 3 is The Strokes, The New Abnormal. I just feel like I'm just, going with the most white man opinion of all time. With putting The Strokes at number 3. But this is, it's The Strokes. I mean, they're a legendary, if you don't know The Strokes, I mean...
You need to become more white.
Yes, well, obviously that too, but, that is pretty white. They're about the whitest you can get.
But aside from the white jokes, I mean, they are an amazingly legendary band with some amazing music.
Yeah, and I'm a huge Strokes fan. That early 2000s like garage rock revival with the Strokes and the White Stripes and the Kills and Interpol. That that's like one of my favorite like movements in like music. Those are some of my favorite bands of all time. And so, obviously, whenever I saw the Strokes releasing a new album, I was very excited, especially after Julian Casablancas' side band, The Voids, their last album, which was incredible. It's very different, and I liked it a ton. And so, him coming off of that album, I was really excited for this album. I thought, because a lot of people didn't really like the last Strokes album, which was
The Overcomes or something like that.
What was it?
Overcomes or something.
No, it's
Come Down Machine.
Come Down Machine, yeah. Which it was fine. It was pretty. I thought it was pretty good, but it wasn't super well. It didn't fit with with Is This It or Angles. It's not like a masterpiece like some of their future stuff had been. Their past stuff had been. So a lot of people were down on the idea of, especially. This was the 2021 is the 20th anniversary of Is This It, and so 20 years after they released their seminal album, there are a lot of people wondering if they still had anything good in them, and they came through and just delivered it. Mm-hmm. Fantastic album. It's very different from a lot of what the stuff that they've done earlier, and breaking in a trend of me liking really the shorter songs and everything. This was the longest Strokes album yet. The songs on this were much longer than they used to be. The first Strokes album was not a very long album at all. This one's a pretty meaty album. The songs are long.
They're mostly like 5 minutes each.
Yeah. Like these are pretty long songs. Yeah, they make it worth listening to. Mm-hmm. Like they're not dragging on just for the sake of dragging on. These are very, very good songs. There's a bit of a nostalgia factor. Just having Julian Casablanca singing ups your cool factor by like 15 times. He's so cool, and his vocals are so great. Everything they do on this album it feels like the Strokes, but it feels like the Strokes in 2020. It's not like we're just gonna make Is This It 2. It feels updated enough to where you don't feel like you're just listening to a Strokes tribute band, or something like that. It's updated enough while still being the Strokes, and I think that's a tough line to straddle, but I think they do it really well.
Yeah, I never really listened to much of the Strokes before this. I've listened to Julian Casablancas and some of his stuff, more specifically like his collaborations, like when he. The two songs that come to mind are when he would collab with The Lonely Island for the jukebox.
The dude, yeah.
Which is a hilarious song, but like on another song he did with the Daft Punk and Random Access Memories. Yeah. I forget the name of that song.
Instant Crush?
Instant Crush, yes. Which is an amazing song. He lends his voice quite well and is auto-tuned quite beautifully. I never really listened to much of his stuff, and then when this album came out, and I remember you telling me about it. I remember going in, I was like, alright, well, let's see what this is about. And it's just, like, it blew me away. The Adults Are Talking was such a great track.
That one's fantastic.
Decisions.
Brooklyn Bridge to Chorus is super good. I could keep going. I could just name the entire album.
Yeah.
Just talk about how good they are.
We'll just put At the Door here.
Run at the door. Anyone home? Have I lost it all? Struck me like a chord. I'm an ugly boy, holding out the knife. Lonely after life. You beg me not to go. Sinking like a stone. Use me like an oar. Get yourself to shore.
And there it was.
Yeah, that one's probably my favorite, though.
Yeah.
If I had to pick one, At the Door, that was one of the teaser tracks, and oh my goodness, I just literally had it on repeat, just listening to it over. I was like, oh, it's the Strokes.
It's really... it's kind of like what we were talking about earlier with Rina Sawayama, kind of emblematic of like older rock pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah,
like
for sure.
updated.
Yeah,
Then
yeah,
updated
like it's
sounds
still
good, you know?
it's still the Strokes where it's power chords. It's
Mhm.
very riff heavy, and everything like that. Well, but not dated. It doesn't feel
Yeah.
dated at all.
It's not sticking plainly to its roots. It's adapting.
Yeah, for sure. Which was kind of the problem I had with last year. The Jack White released a song with the Raconteurs. I mean, an album with the Raconteurs, and it just sounded like they were just still back in the 2000s. I'm like, okay, well, you got to adapt a little bit. You can't just make the same one. They did not struggle with that at all. They adapted fully, and I think that's what made it so good.
It was a really good album. I thought about putting it on my list, but like it just didn't hit me. I mean, I love all the songs on the album. It just didn't it didn't hit me as hard.
Yeah, well, nostalgia is a
That's
very
true.
powerful feeling. So I think that's a lot of what it was for me. Too,
I still respect a lot of it, and I still have The Adults Are Talking quite regularly on replay.
Yeah.
It's a great track, and it's a great album.
Nice to know. You're number 3.
For number 3, we're going to be moving on to Miles by Blue in Exile.
Okay, so this one I'm not familiar with in the slightest. Explain this one to me.
This has a lot of history to it.
All right.
Blue in Exile has been... I'm not super familiar with the discography. I'm just going to be outright with. But let me look up because it's not on Spotify.
That would definitely stop me from listening to them.
No, this album is on Spotify.
Oh, okay.
I'm looking for. Way back in the day, when I was making my Tumblr account, I was looking for songs to add to my blog. So when you come in, you can look and see my blog and look at this cool blog and how cool this music is. Yeah, I think it's cool music. So I don't know how. I'm pretty sure I came across it from my sister, but she doesn't remember these guys, so they just materialized in my life somehow. Regardless, Below the Heavens by Blue in Exile in 2007. I don't know how I managed to find these guys. Blue being the main rapper, Exile being the producer behind most of the tracks. This is one of the most celebrated underground rap albums of that decade. And I don't know how I found it because I was definitely not in the underground at that time. And it's if you want one song to listen to from that album, listen to Simply Amazing, open brackets, close brackets, Steel Blazin'. That's my favorite. That was on my iPod on shuffle, on loop for quite a while.
Yeah.
That is... they were very... they were still new to the game, but Blue had a lot of flow and a lot of fire to his words. And they had come up with some stuff after that I never really listened to too much. They had this one album, the Blue and Exile both respectively kind of split after one of their sophomore album. And they kind of went into their own separate lanes. Blue specifically kind of kept up with a bit more. He dropped this one album, A Long Red Hot Los Angeles Summer Night, which was not bad. I remember Pop Shots being a pretty good record from that. But they were kind of quiet and they didn't really collab much after that. And then kind of out of nowhere, they dropped Miles. Miles is an hour and a half long album. It's very long, and it has no skips. It is a beautiful jazz rap album record that goes into the roots of jazz and has a lot of beautiful imagery about what the world could be if we all were together and all that kind of stuff. It's very much steeped in its roots. It talks a lot about jazz.
You have to imagine the name Miles.
Miles is based after Miles Davis.
Miles Davis, yeah. Okay.
Exactly. And he talks about that. He also talks about Nat King Cole and the Bird and stuff like that. It's not just based on jazz though. It's an album for now. I'm finding a hard time trying to talk about it. It's just a very phenomenal jazz rap album. If you like jazz, if you like rap of other ones, I would recommend listening to this. The hour and a half long, running time is intimidating, but honestly, you can just kind of throw it on in the background because the instrumentals on their own are like great enough to just kind of like vibe to in the background. But if you started listening to the lyrics and the music on themselves, you would still find plenty meat to sink your teeth into.
Yeah.
And for being an album that they both came back for after so many years, this was like a humongous triumphant return. Like it probably might be my album of the year, honestly. It was really, really good.
You know? And you just missed the boat by putting it at 3.
It's
because officially it's number 3.
It's number 3. But if I had thought about my list more, I might have put it at number 2 or number 1. Yeah. You know, probably number 1. But like, it's an album that I feel like, if you have any interest in either of these genres, I would definitely at least give some listening to. It's kind of hard to think of something to play. Just to get a sample from.
Yeah, it seems like really difficult because it's obviously like an hour and a half long. So.
It's an hour and a half long, and every track on it is worthwhile listening to. But I'll play something here after I settle on which one is the best one to pick, I guess. So.
She fell into the. I said ULB like L Bug, but more hood like Ice-T, and that's cool like Miles Davis walked in the room and redefined the groove, defined jazz, the mood turn. Like the note I wrote, to the boat I float with no ledge, so know the ledge. Knowledge and longevity, loyalty and leadership. Don't let that long list get you. Like Portishead's album cover picture, a top shelf like Blue Label liquor. I'm just a light-skinned nigga, my nigga. I don't see the glass half full, I see the whole picture. And my blue like the later you blue, so like BB King.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. I thought it was like an Amber Alert or something, but it didn't actually. It stopped right after it started. So.
Yeah, whatever. It was in the middle of the thing, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah. I'm not. I can't really find much to say about this. It's just like, it's a severely slept on album, in my opinion, and I feel like more people need to listen to it more.
How do you mean that it's like a good album for this time too? Like, I guess
it like the beats are sampling a lot of like old like jazz, but they're still updated enough that like those are still feel fresh. It still feels good, and it's worthwhile enough to like keep listening to on loop nowadays. You know what I mean? The messages of the actual record are pretty timeless, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not really... It's discussing some things. Like, I remember they talk about Trump or some political stuff as well in there. But they're not... It doesn't feel dated, you know? It's paying a lot of attention and paying a lot of homage to the roots of the genre of jazz.
Yeah, and how that, you know, intersects with a lot of rap, I would imagine.
Oh, yeah.
And updating it to the modern... Because, you know, obviously it's the way a lot of, you know, the music and, you know, jazz has its roots in black in the South, you know, it's, you know, a lot of New Orleans, you know, a lot of it is in black, you know, the black people in America basically is where a lot of it comes from, and how that travels through, you know, the time is, you know, how it sounds to me. Mm-hmm. No. I mean, it sounds very interesting. I'll probably definitely look into that.
Yeah. It's an album I think everybody should give at least someone to listen to, because it's not an experimental jazz. It's not an experimental rap album. The jazz isn't like experimental to any degree. It's very,
which is good for me, because experimental jazz is it's not for me. It's just
freeform jazz is not for everybody.
Yeah, and especially not for me.
It has its moments of artsiness, I'd say, with some of the spoken word tracks, but like they're still backed by some fantastic instrumentals.
And so they're still accessible enough. Exactly. Yeah, that's always good.
So, Miles by Blue and Exile. 2 amazing artists, a duo that should and will go praised by the underground, and hopefully should reach into the mainstream. Yeah.
Alright, so now we're at number 2.
We're reaching the end now.
So, my number 2 is Punisher by Phoebe Bridgers. Yeah, I don't even know I don't know what there is to say about Phoebe Bridgers that hasn't already been said by everyone. She is one of the most tapped into, I guess, she really taps into the coming of age type of, the transition from, the college age into adulthood and all the general malaise and
the messy feelings that come with all of
that. That comes with all of that. And on this album, Punisher, she does it in, on an album where it's just beautiful instrumentals, and her vocals are, obviously great, and it's just one of those albums where everything on it works. She's a phenomenal songwriter and I think the part about it is that it's very relatable. Everything on it is super relatable. She just really has her pulse kind of on the idea, her finger on the pulse of like almost an entire generation. It's people who are in this transitioning period from youth to adulthood. It's a very powerful album. It has its moments, but it's not melodramatic. And I think that's a good thing about it is it has these really these moments that are really stick with you and they're kind of powerful. But it's not. It doesn't think super highly of itself. It's not pretentious in any way.
It's not trying to be like Lana Del Rey with like over romanticizing situations. It kind of has like a very in the moment view of everything.
Absolutely, yes, and and all the songs on it are really well made and really smart. Like I don't really know how to describe it. It's one of those albums where just when you hear it, you just relate to every single song. Or like this one this is a tiny moment on the album. It's the opening track, DVD menu.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Which
the title alone.
I don't know why, because it's just an instrumental track. Mm-hmm. There's like really no vocals, and it just sounds like the opening of the DVD menu to like a movie that you'd watch, and especially the way I always remember it is like after the movie ends, right, and it's still on the DVD. And so it's just playing the little 50-second song on a loop over and over, but it sounds like a DVD menu song, and it's just like everything on the album is just so relatable, and
it's a very serious vibe.
Yes, it's the most vibe album for sure. It's just, everything on it is just like you're like, yes, I get this. Yeah, and then just everything about and then I think partially everything about it is just boosted by the Phoebe Bridgers as a person. She's because everything you hear on the album is consistent with Phoebe Bridgers. What you see of her in public, she's I don't know, it's just a very good album, and honestly, just so relatable. I think that's such a great quality for an album to have is whenever you can really relate to it. And not everyone will relate to it, obviously. Yeah. I couldn't show this to my mom. My mom would be like, what is happening? This is horrible. But, but for the people who get it, it clicks so hard that it sticks with you for a long time.
Yeah, it's like kind of it kind of perfectly encapsulates the vibe of like going off into college and like trying to come out of their shell.
Yeah, I get that.
It fills in a lot more spaces than that, but like if you ever felt like coming of age in any sort of sense, if you've ever came into age or you're coming into age currently, you will know what this album is talking about. Like, the only thing I'd say is that like I wish I had listened to it when it came out. It was I came into it late. I listened to it.
You waited for it
in the future, of 2021. I did wait for it. I did listen to some things, like I remember Kyoto. I remember having it on my album because that was a teaser.
Yeah, that was one of the lead singles, and it was really good. But I think my favorite song on that album was probably Halloween.
Yeah,
it stuck with me for I don't know why. It was just such a great song, and it's
sick of the questions I keep asking you that make you live in the past. But I can count on you to tell me the truth when you've been drinking and you're wearing a mask. Baby, it's hard.
But like, truly, so many of those songs, and that's why I have it at number 2. Obviously, is because most of the songs I really enjoyed, but everything just seems so perfectly curated, and I think that's why I like it. It's just like the ultimate vibe album for me personally.
Yeah, it's an insanely well put together album. It
Yeah.
flows through each track quite well, and it encapsulates thoughts that like I never had, but like perfectly match
Yes, yeah,
like what I was thinking, what I would be thinking, you know.
yes. Because she's just much smarter than me, so she's able to put those things into words that sound really good. So,
Yep.
and she also titled one of the songs "I See You." The letters I, C, and U. But she says "I see you," and it's just next level genius.
This is why we are making a podcast and she is making the music.
Yes.
All right. I'm going to move on to my number 2 now. Wait, was that number 2?
Yes.
Okay. My number 2 being Innocent Country 2 by Kelly Chris. Kelly Chris, amazing rapper, discusses politically charged subjects, at the same time having an amazing sense of humor with his delivery. Like, very aware and tongue-in-cheek almost. I don't know, Kelly Chris feels like one of the smartest rappers right now, honestly. He delivers his lines so well. It's kind of like we're in a golden age of Kelly Chris right now. He, before this, delivered Guns, which was an amazing record talking about, like, what, like guns, and, like, why people have them. Before that, he talked about Everything's Fine, which is, like, kind of like an existential album about everything's fine, even though everything's literally burning down around us.
Yeah.
And then it wasn't his debut, but it was the one that introduced him to me, which is the greatest album title of all time. Being You is Great. I Wish I Could Be You More Often. Which is so good. And it's just a very introspective album. He always has a different like theme that he carries into each different album. A different subject he likes to have like an overarching theme on. But they're all still talking about multiple things, you know. This one, Innocent Country 2, apparently it's a sequel. I don't know what the first Innocent Country sounded like. I wasn't following Kelly Chris that long, but it's a collab between Kelly Chris and Chris Keys. It's a lot less wild than his other albums. It's a lot mellower and melodramatic. Well, not melodramatic, because it's not like he doesn't know what he's talking about. Mm-hmm. Like, melodramatic means like he's kind of sad.
Overreact. Almost like where you're overdoing it. You know,
yeah. But he's very clear about his feelings on this, you know, and it's a far more introspective and spiritual album. Mm-hmm. I guess he's calling out to his ancestors and stuff like that. But it's a very introspective, and very like transformative experience for him. It has like Chris Keys being on it means that like the instrumentals are very piano focused, mm-hmm. or most of them are. They're all lovely. Most of them are pretty lovely. Like Black Twitter being one of like the more clever songs on the album still has like this very like lovely organ melody, like da 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 da. Like it loops in my head all the time. It's I don't know. It's the further we get up on the list, I'm getting harder and harder to describe these albums.
They're more abstract.
Yeah,
kind of ideas on the album. Yeah, it's hard to really explain albums like that. You know, you said this is a political.
Yeah.
It's hard to really explain stuff like that without going into like
exactly
weird amounts of detail.
But this one, this is why it's also. This is more of an interesting album because he doesn't really delve into the politics so much in this one. It's all more so about the person rather than like the society around him in this one. It's an amazingly introspective album that talks a lot about like his relationships with people and stuff like that. Like he's been in like bad relationships where people have been manipulative and stuff like that. And he also brings in like people to talk about like what's it called? What is it? I don't know. It's I should prepare for this one a little bit better because I don't know what to say about Innocent Country 2 other than listen to it. It carries a lot of Kelly Chris's best wit and best songs to date. And it's Kelly Chris is a very interesting, almost eclectic sort of like flow to himself. So I'll play, let me see, which one would I want to play here? I'll play Black Twitter. I'll play parts of Black Twitter here and then you guys can decide whether or not you'll listen to it.
It's not perfect, but life ain't perfect.
Sudden Death is also a fantastic track on that one. That I might play that there instead. We'll see. But regardless, Kelly Chris and Chris Keys. I don't want to cut him out of the equation. They're amazing producers, and Kelly Chris is an amazing lyricist. Like before MF Doom, Kelly Chris is probably my favorite lyricist out there right now.
Yeah,
he's just very clever. Not even necessarily that I'm saying that because he's political with his lyrics sometimes that makes him better.
Yeah.
It's just
being political doesn't necessarily mean good, but
Yeah.
if you can do politics well, then you're doing it well. So it doesn't
Exactly.
matter.
like he feels way like I can feel like how smart he is. When he's talking about something, I'm like I can't even reach that.
Yeah.
So-
Yeah. Just honestly, and it's good that you think that because the a lot of the music, people talking about politics and music, was not great
No.
during these last 4 years. Like I was expecting, for like a new golden age in like political, music. But, it ended up being real not great.
Yeah,
I was surprised.
with the previous political atmosphere, a lot of people felt entitled to talk about the situation without really having a lot to say that hasn't already been said before.
Yeah, and like, I mean, saying Trump is bad isn't like really
Yeah. Not
interesting
revolutionary.
at a certain point.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, okay,
So what?
I'm aware.
I can watch SNL and hear them say that 50
Yeah,
times in 1
yes,
minute.
yes. Yeah, but the few that really do shine out, like they stand out super far.
Mm-hmm.
The one that always sticks out to me the most is Parquet Court's Wide Awake.
Yes.
The one that we're just really, really just, it's very political, but it's very smart and it has a point that's not, it's not just saying Trump bad, which like he's bad, but like you don't get points for saying that. Like everyone knows, like it's just you're not bringing anything new to the table.
Yeah, or the last Idols album.
Yeah.
Just very...
Or even worse, the last Green Day album. Oh my god! I was either going to like, maybe it'll be because so on the cover art for it is a play on American Idiot's album cover, but with like a unicorn farting rainbows on it. I don't understand the album cover, but like I was thinking maybe it'll be like American Idiot again. It was not like American Idiot. It was bad.
It was pretty bad.
It was horrible, actually. I say by pretty bad. It was horrible. It was one of the worst albums I've heard in this last year.
I never finished it.
I didn't finish it either. It was awful. Like there was nothing good about it. Every single time I heard a song, I was like, "This is bad." Then I'll go to the next song. This is even worse.
Still bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Kelly Chris is not that. He's smart, clever, funny. Like, also in this song, I should mention, he raps, but he's also singing a lot. But he does quite well.
But that's honestly one of my biggest problems. Most rappers think they can sing, but they're god awful at it.
Yeah.
But
Freaking like a Little Pump or something like that. No, they don't try, bro. Just stick to Gucci Gang. But not Kelly Chris.
Stick to Gucci Gang. That's my favorite quote from this.
Kelly Chris is very jazz, very soulful, and very good. I recommend people listen to him, especially Sacred Safe. If not the one I played before. So that's my number 2.
Okay, and then I guess I'm going to my number 1. My album of the year for 2020 is Waxahachie's St. Cloud.
Really?
This album, the last album by Waxahachie, I used to be a big fan of Waxahachie. All the way back to P.S. Eliot, where she was doing that, where she was collaborating with her sister. Just always been a big fan of her songwriting and music. So every time she releases anything, I definitely listen to it. Her last one it didn't really it didn't do anything for me. It was fine. It was not bad. It was not a bad album. It was just pretty meh to me. And then whenever this album came out, I saw that Fantano. I found out about it through a Fantano video where he has a red flannel and he says it's bad, and I'm just like, oh god, is it bad? And then so I listened to it, and I just completely disagree with it. Like, oh my, I think it's such a fantastic album. It's like it's a quintessential like alt country album. I kind of get like, oh god, what's her name? The lady who had like an alt country album that like went super famous in the one.
Oh, I know. Yeah, the blue album cover with her face on it.
Yes, Casey Musgraves,
Yeah.
Golden Hour. It kind of gives me some of those vibes a little bit, where it's a little like alt country, but still poppy enough, but less poppy than that for sure. Just basically like an alt country album, and I think for me, growing up in a household where we listen to a lot of country music in my family. Not like, in retrospect, good country music, but we listen to a lot of it. So, it's kind of nostalgic for me hearing a lot of the sounds that a lot of the sounds on it are just very core country music kind of sounds, but just done by, frankly, just a much better artist who's just so much more talented than the people who were doing those. It's just fantastic, and I think, with 2020 being like the most wild year of all time, a song where, it's just very folksy kind of, she sings a lot about nature on it and just like, connecting with the roots of her hometown and everything on it. And I don't know, it's just it just fit the moment for me, in quarantine listening to this, connecting, because you spend a lot of people started spending a lot more time outside during, because you're inside, maybe not around people, but you're outside just to get out of the house. Oh, yeah. And I definitely did that too. So a lot of it was just, I don't know, it just fit the mood of 2020 so well. And on top of the fact that I think she's a fantastic songwriter and her voice is amazing. This is an album. It's like, I don't know, it's me personally, like very, very strongly. Like, I don't know that it would be great for everyone. And I wouldn't recommend this to people who don't care about country at all, who are just completely just like, yeah, it's bad. But this is, to me, just all the good things about like alt country music and everything. It's everything good about it, while still being like quintessentially, I would still call it like a country music like album. Like I could show this to my mom, and I think she would like it. Whereas I couldn't show basically any other album to my mom and say she would like it. But this one, as someone who only listened to country music, my mom would probably like it, while still being different than everything else. It holds its roots very well while still bettering them, in my mind, personally. There's so many songs that stick with you on this album, but the one for me personally that sticks out the most is Fire. It's so good. I love this album so much.
Could I iron out the edges of the darkest sky? For some of us, it ain't enough. It ain't enough.
Yeah, I mean, Fire was the one song I knew from it that was actually ended up on my playlist last year.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
I've seen her live.
Really?
Yes. I saw her at a Fortress Festival when I went with, I saw Courtney Barnett and Father John Misty. But outside of those two, she was the one that stuck with me the most, like her performance and everything. And she's great. She sounds great live. And just one of my favorite artists.
Well, at number one, I would hope so.
Yeah. Yeah. My number one album, it was okay. Yeah, that'd be a weird endorsement. I was like, yeah, she's fine. She's okay.
I thought she was alright. I listened to her when I was, doing my lo-fi beats to study too. When that fell down, I was like listening to the stuff. I had no idea. Courtney Barnett didn't. Is that her name, Courtney Barnett?
No, Waxahachie.
Yeah, like you were saying, Waxahachie. You didn't get to hear the last part, but I'm just gonna cut it out because I referred to a completely different artist that I'm too embarrassed to keep in this podcast.
Well, I did bring up that artist, so
true. But Waxahachie fell by the wayside.
Yeah.
But Fire, that one stayed on my playlist at the very least, I can say. 2020 was a weird year, actually. Kind of like I listened to quite a bit of country in that year.
Yeah.
Like that one song with Johnny Cash singing on it about being like a limo driver. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, you told me. I can't remember who it was. I remember you told me about it though.
Yeah.
It was featuring Johnny Cash. It was not a Johnny Cash song.
No, it was. Yeah, it just had him on it. That and Sergil Simpson.
Sergil, yeah.
Yeah, Sergil Simpson. Take Me Home. The Waxahachie cover for Take Me Home Country Roads actually was also on my playlist because that was quite
was pretty good. It was pretty
I was like, you can't cover Take Me Home Country Roads, but then it was actually pretty good.
Yeah, it wasn't a straightforward cover.
No, yeah. But that being said, yeah, no. I can't attest exactly to the same amount of love that you have to her because I haven't listened to the album myself. But just based on what I've heard, yeah, no, I mean, that's a beautiful country singer. Yeah,
and I think that's the thing. It's like I wouldn't generally have called her a country singer. And I think that's why she's always had she's from Alabama, and is very clearly has an appreciation for country music, but it's always felt more indie folk. This one, it's full on like a country album, basically.
Mm. But her roots are spread, or not her roots necessarily, but her cheap.
So she plays it in she takes the country sound and takes it to where it's not talking about. That reminds me, I need to show you this comedy Bang Bang bit where there's these two. Basically, it's like these two guys playing characters. They're country music singers, and they have a song where basically they're having sex with their trucks. I need to play that for you because it's hilarious.
I'm keeping this in so everybody else can also look.
Oh God! It's Memphis, Kansas Breeze is the name of it, which is a play on Florida Georgia Line. So
that's terrible.
It's hilarious. They're the best.
I love country music. Rascal Flatts. And all that nonsense.
Life of the Highway.
Now I'm going to drive it. Alright, this is not going to be country karaoke.
This isn't going to be the Cars song. That's what I always think of every time I hear that song.
No, absolutely. Like, it's just that I mean, I feel like it was made for that movie. Because it's about a highway and it's freaking cars.
I also, by the way, I've seen Rascal Flatts live as well. It wasn't very good. But, it don't sound very good live.
You mean those harmonies don't carry out on the mic?
No, they don't.
Those fake harmonies?
One country singer I have seen live who does sound fantastic live is the Zach Brown Band. I will give them that. They sound the exact same live. You hear like some singers and then you're like, oh, their voice is very clearly only sounds good because of the stuff they do in the studio.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah.
Alright, now to my number one. Whatever. It's Visions of Bodies Being Burned by Clipping. Clipping's been around for like the 2010s, 2014, I believe. I never listened to them much. Somebody played for me one of their intro songs where it's literally just noise and then a guy rapping over it or something like that. and like I was all like, this is kind of good. It's weird, but it's like it's really harsh to listen to, but it's kind of good. And I think that might have introduced me into later noise records, honestly.
Yeah.
But last year they came up with an album called "There Existed an Addiction to Blood," which came out around Halloween. It wasn't a Halloween album, but it was definitely it was them like delving into horrorcore as a genre, and it was really good. There's like an overarching story of like some guy who stole from a drug dealer and like him trying to escape and like him eventually getting captured and tortured and stuff like that. And it's just like it's so tense and actually like fear-inducing at some points without doing anything like jump scary or cheap like that.
Yeah.
It's just like a really great album. But regardless, the producers on it, I don't remember their names, but the important part is I believe they've done production for actual horror movies. So, and you can hear that in that album because like there's this one song specifically where like the beat is introduced at the beginning, and then the rest of this album is just like you hear it through the sounds of passing cars and the sound of the dumpster and like a dog barking. Really, really weird and atmospheric.
Yeah.
And it's really good. That one specific song, in case most of the people listening to this, probably people I know, and they've already heard it, but it's Run for Your...
10,000 people.
If this gets to 10,000 people, I hope all 10,000 of you have heard Run for Your Life by Clipping. That's the song. That was a great album. That was like a good Halloween album. And then they started teasing some tracks for this new album coming out. And Visions of Bodies Being Burned. There Existed an Addiction to Blood was one of my favorite albums that year. This beat that. It was so much more consistent. It took me a while to decide whether or not I liked it more or not.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had to sit with it. And then I was like, no, it's just kind of better. Like this is not an album for everybody. I'm just gonna straight out say that right from the beginning. This is horrorcore, and on top of that, like it just got like they do a lot of like noise, like straight up just noise in some of their tracks, and that's part of the appeal, you know. But this is a lot more horror focused rather than trying to tell like some overarching story, and it's a lot creepier and a lot more well done than the previous one. Like it still has the atmospheric elements of like the horror producers, really eclectic samples, scary storytelling. Like there's just one song called Something Underneath where it's just like it's really unclear what the heck they're talking about, but it's like unsettling and talking about like some sort of like thing or presence or something coming that's like some old god or something like that. It's not supposed to be coming out. And then like Check the Lock, which is about like some head of a gang or a mafia or something like that who's like super paranoid, and it like makes you feel just as paranoid as he's feeling in that moment. It's as well as like playing with some sort of like satanic cult imagery with Say the Name.
Candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies being burned. Candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies being burned. Candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies being burned. Candlesticks in the dark, visions of bodies being burned.
The hook gon' be what it is, the hands off. The retribution for what you took from the man. Got blood on the rust, God bless the red earth. The dead man walks the tongue bridge. A bridge, the time space, the boot, the concrete. The project undone, they juking. Major look, you can't see it. The mob built the walls, the streets, it bleeds sweet syrup, the bees love it. They coming on a swarm and they raining on your college ass disco. Get your collar turned up in your freshest attire. Get your bitch womb ready, cause this baby gon' be fire. It's not a dream, it's a memory. Memory glands heavy in the sky, blacked out already. Stop screaming, the flames ain't shit to a demon. Say the name.
It's an amazing, driving, intense, incredibly well done like rap album. Clipping has really come into their own, delving into the horrorcore genre all of a sudden, you know, and it's just like it's so cool. It's just really, really cool. Every person I've shown it to some people, and at first they're always like, of course, rightfully so, what the hell is this?
Yeah.
But the more you fall into it, the more it envelops you, and the more you just get adjusted to it. it's just really cool and it's really good.
Yeah, it sounds like, the way that a lot of, type of concept type of albums are if you buy into the concept, you really end up liking it. And if you don't really buy into the concept, then you end up hating it. But if you buy into it, you end up really liking it,
Mm-hmm.
So it's probably one of those where, it's a...
You love it or hate it kind of thing.
Kind of, yeah. Or, yeah.
If you have an appreciation for rap, I would say, like, even if you don't care for the
horror elements.
The rap is still incredibly... there's a lot of, like, rappers nowadays that are, like, just as many people who are trying to trash talk mumble rap. There was just as many people doing that annoying speed rap, that are like...
Rap God?
Yeah, exactly, rap God nonsense. And she's like, that's just as annoying because it's like, there's no substance to it. It's just speaking fast.
Yeah.
This guy has incredible flow that's really fast, but still, like... Still stylized. Still substantive.
Yeah.
Still has meat to his raps. Like, he switches it up between beats. Like, he does such an amazing job. It's not just fast for the sake of being fast. He's doing it fast because he wants you to feel your blood pumping. He wants you to feel getting more and more like something's chasing you or getting more anxious about something. Like,
yeah.
It's done with purpose and it's done so well. I can't. This thing is amazing.
Yeah.
Again, the higher we get up on the list, the harder it is to discuss these things.
Yeah, for sure.
But it's really cool. If you like horror movies, especially give it a listen, I guess.
Yeah, especially because whenever you make a list like these, so much of why you enjoy these albums so much is like almost personal.
Oh yeah,
and emotional and stuff like that.
This is my top 10 list. I'm not saying it's definitive.
Yeah, I mean mine is definitive personally, but
if you disagree,
you are wrong. But yeah, that's why it's harder. The more personal it is to you, generally the higher you're going to have it, and so the harder it is to explain why. Like with my number one, I don't think I would have liked it as much if I wasn't as a kid, listening to country music and stuff like that. Where so much of it is the emotional and personal aspect of it that makes you feel that way.
Yeah.
So it does get hard to explain why.
Explain why I feel this way so much about it.
Whereas some of the ones on the bottom, you're like, yeah, I like this one because of the stuff they did. Maybe not like an emotional impact. You liked it because of I liked the sounds.
Yeah. I like this genre. Or I like this artist. Give it a chance, regardless. Especially give it a chance to all the albums you've given it, of course.
Yeah.
Everybody needs to listen to more music. You never listen to enough music out there.
And if you have to listen to one, listen to mine because mine are, like I said, are definitive. So
this is true. He's the professional.
I am
unprofessional.
I have a doctorate in making lists.
Why didn't you tell me that earlier? We would have done the first episode if that was the case.
Oh, well, it's a theoretical doctorate.
Theoretically?
Yeah. Theoretically, I went to school for this, but I didn't actually do it.
Do you keep the title?
No. Apparently that's illegal to force people to call me Dr. Curry, so.
Stupid. Okay.
Yeah, that's the dumbest joke I'm going to make. Yeah. Please cut that out.
I don't know. No, I'm keeping it for sure. The inside jokes are probably dumber. Because that's funny to nobody except us.
Okay, but to us, those are like top tier jokes.
Alright, we'll end this off here. Before we do so, do you want to give any shout outs or do you want to plug anything of maybe your Twitter if you want people to follow you?
Please, no. I haven't tweeted anything in like 3 years. Just wanted a couple albums that I didn't put in here for whatever reason, but I also liked were Run the Jewels 4. I didn't put that in there because I'm a white man. I feel like I don't get to talk about rap very well, because I don't really, and especially because I don't listen to a ton of rap. So I just liked it, and it has Zach De La Rocha on it, and I love him, so.
He was really great on that.
And then also Tao and the Get Down, Stay Down. Their album was really good. I just didn't quite make my list. Okay. I really liked it a lot.
I'm going to give a quick shout out to Peaceful as Hell by the Black Dresses. An amazing poppy, hyperpop, crazy album that was too cool to stay onto Spotify. Because it was on my playlist and I was disappeared. I was like, where the hell did it go? Nope, just got pulled off. And then I'm also going to give a shout out to Black Ben Carson by JPEG Mafia. Was an amazing album and had a funny perspective listening to it in 2020. But also just the title Black Ben Carson.
Yeah, the by itself is enough to vault you into honorable mention status.
Yeah, so if y'all needed new music to listen to, there's a whole bunch of recommendations.
Yeah.
And
some of them might even be good.
Some of them are pretty okay. And if you didn't, why did you just listen to 2 hours of two dudes talking about it?
Yeah.